Townshend is an English musician. He is one of the co-founders, the leader of, guitarist for, primary songwriter for, and second lead singer for The Who. Hugely famous band. He has also released 7 solo albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was Pete Townshend's second solo album. It's my first time listening to it. Of course, I know who he is. He has sorry. This album was written and recorded concurrently with a resurgence in interest in the Who. So there was a Who album that was being recorded and written at the same time as this. Apparently Roger Daltrey later said that he thought that some of the songs, some of the better songs went to this album rather than the Who album. But there's been some to and fro about that. There are various musicians obviously involved here, not just Pete Townsend. Some people connected with the Who, including a guy called Rabbit on the keys, who was a touring keyboard player for the Who, and members of the band Big Country. And I would describe this as being rock songs, but it's not what I'd call hard rock. It's just kind of mainstream rock, really. It sounds to me a bit like it was recorded 5 years earlier than it was. Quite a lot happens in quite a short period of time. I mean, from 1965 onwards, things kept changing quite rapidly for quite a while in music. And it feels more like a mid-70s album than a 1980 album. But that's a period that I liked, 1975-ish, so, this isn't a detriment to it. It's got that kind of... so I wouldn't say I was an expert on The Who at all. I have obviously heard some songs from The Who, and I will be reviewing some albums by The Who in this series later on. It's got the kind of immediate and strident feel that The Who have. That's kind of... I mean, it's not quite a signature sound, but it's definitely one of their characteristics. But there is a certain amount of... the word I wrote down here is complexity, but that's not what I mean. I think intricacy in some of the arrangements, but especially in the keyboard playing. So it's got this kind of feel a bit like slightly glammed up pub rock, I would say. But it's got that kind of immediate appeal. When I listen to it twice, as I usually do with the albums, definitely recognising songs the second time round, which is always a good sign that a song's one that is distinctive. His voice is decent. It's not stunning. Interestingly, there are times when he sings high and quiet. It reminds me of Peter Gabriel in Genesis singing high and quiet in a kind of theatrical way. In that, the songs are a mixture of all sorts of things they're about. There's some really strong songwriting in here, I would say. There's some stuff about love, but not a huge amount, and it's not kind of particularly slushy stuff, even when it is. Painting pictures rather than telling stories, I would say. I found I Am an Animal interesting, so you've got you'd expect with the title I Am an Animal, it's going to be all about kind of bad behaviour, but kind of after his song I Am an Animal and a couple of lines, then I Am a Vegetable, and it's kind of all about being lots of different things, and it's painting pictures, but it's interesting. So there are a couple of tracks on here. The one that has in the stuff that I've read about says that that was particularly drawn out was Rough Boys, which is the first track on the album, was one of the singles. But also I think the track And I Moved, which is a couple later, have some interesting points about, they're about male-on-male attraction. And this caused some questions to be asked about his sexuality at the time. I think they're both interesting songs. So, I would say well worth a listen. I also want to say Cats in the Cupboard is an interesting title for a song. I've never heard of anything quite like that before. And the track, I also enjoyed the track Empty Glass, which is the title track, obviously, from the album. So, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought the songwriting was strong. I thought the music was good. It was... Yeah, I mean, some people have said that it's dated. I think it's stood the test of time, but it's definitely a product of a particular time. But I think it's a decent product. So I enjoyed it, and I'd love to know what you think. So please talk to me. Don't be shy. Tell me what you think in the comments box. That's it from me for now.
And I moved as I saw him looking in through my window.